Today we're going back to 2003 to revisit one of the most popular Nitro RC cars at the time. And here it is, this is the HPI Rush Evo, and back in 2003 this was one of the most popular beginner-friendly Nitro trucks around. Now back then Nitro was so much more popular compared to these days. Most people just go for the easy option, but back then something like the Rush Evo was probably one of the best entry points into the hobby. Now we'll get back to this in a moment, but we do need to talk about the history of this truck. So before the Rush Evo there was the original Nitro Rush that had a very cool looking yellow body shell, a slightly less powerful engine, but it was still aimed at beginners getting into the RC hobby who chose to go down the Nitro route. These days HPI are still around and you can still buy a lot of the parts for their older vehicles. I recently did a video about Nitro and I did cover a lot of the reasons why most people aren't actually interested in it these days. Now there are loads of reasons why people don't like Nitro, but I think the main ones are the noise, starting issues and maintenance, and then of course tuning. There's just so much stuff to get right when it comes to Nitro. You find yourself spending more time actually trying to get them to work properly rather than being out there bashing. Anyway, I'm not going to go into it again. Check that video out if you're interested. I will leave a link down below. So here it is. This is my new HPI Nitro Rush Evo. Well, it's not really new. This thing's about 21 years old. It was initially released in 2003 and that is when it was most popular, and of course this was a new updated version over the old Nitro Rush. Of course they made some changes to this version, the new one, and it did have a new body shell, a new more powerful engine and a rotor start system fitted. Do you know what, even in 2024 this thing still looks incredible, and the last time I see one of these in person or even owned one of these was back when I was 14 years old. Now eventually this was replaced by the Firestorm 10T. And of course after the Nitro Rush and the Rush Evo they made even more improvements to the Firestorm 10T. Maybe I need to get a Firestorm on the channel as well. I don't know what it is about these old Nitros. I think it's because I grew up around them. It's what I used to run back in the day. I can't help but love them. So let's get the body clips off and take a closer look under the body. This is exciting. I feel like a teenager again. So under the body, once again, everything looks like it's original. It's really good to be reunited with one of these. I really miss these. So of course there we have the T15 upgraded engine with the rotor start system. It is missing the original air filter. It's still running the original servos. Yeah, this isn't too bad considering its age. There is a little bit of oil leaking out the exhaust. There was very little information about this truck on the eBay listing. Now this didn't come with a transmitter and receiver, which I'm kind of glad because I was going to upgrade that anyway, and I have just stuck in a Dumbo RC receiver and I'm using that with my Radio Master MT12. Next up, let's switch the truck on. Looks like the throttle and brake servo's working correctly. That's a good start. Let's check the steering. Well, that's a bit slow, but in 2003 that was perfectly acceptable. So let's prime the engine. Glow start goes on. Actually, I'm going to check the condition of the plug first. That will probably be more sensible. Yeah, I reckon it's seen some use. I'm probably going to change that anyway. Let's see if we can get this thing running. This is the problem with Nitro. I did speak about it on my other video as well. You do find yourself a lot of the time messing around trying to get them to work. Yeah, it could be the glow plug. Maybe that needs replacing, but I would like to try and get this started today if I can. Let's give it another go. Oh, it's close. Gonna give it a little bit of throttle. Yes! 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 Well, it does run, which is a good start. I need to adjust my steering trim. How cool is this? I don't know when this thing was last started. It could have been many years, but it does run and it will probably need retuning, but it's a good start. I think I'm probably going to have to look at replacing those servos if I plan on using this all the time. Yeah, that carb definitely needs a retune. I'm not sure if it's a carb issue or there's an issue with the engine, but I can't quite get it to run properly. So unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to get a good run out of this today. The good news is it starts, and obviously I can do a bit of fault finding and try and see what's going on with it, because it doesn't quite feel right. Yeah, it's died again. So I've had to play with this for the last 20 to 30 minutes. It doesn't quite run properly. Now this could be many things. It could be down to the glow plug, it could be the carb, or it could be something else in the engine that's not quite right. Truthfully, I didn't even think it was going to start and run, so that's a good sign, but I will have to investigate the engine issues. I'll try and start it up again, but I think I'm definitely going to have to spend some time trying to get this thing to run properly. Nitro does have its issues. Oh, it's died again. So it's day 2 and I have a really good feeling about this. I think this is going to run properly today. So I did spend a lot of time last night going over this thing to try and work out what is wrong with it. One thing I did notice yesterday was power to the receiver was cutting out for some reason. I thought it may have been a receiver problem, but it wasn't. It turns out it was the receiver pack. Now I've replaced that. I've also replaced this switch, and I'm pretty sure this is going to sort the issue out with power loss. Now when it comes to the engine, I couldn't really see any issues, but I did notice one thing. Now I think I know why this wasn't idling correctly. Now I didn't notice this yesterday because I was so excited to actually get it out and run it, but when I had a closer look last night, I did notice that there was a spring missing on the idle screw, and this was allowing the idle screw to spin around on its own freely. Now I did have a look in my toolbox. I didn't have a spare one of these, so instead what I used was a spring from a pen. That seems to have done the job. It certainly feels a lot tighter now, and I don't think that's going to work its way loose, but hopefully that will work and allow us to have a decent idle. I've also replaced the glow plug just in case that was the issue as well. And apart from that, I don't think there's any other issues with this truck, or at least I hope not, because I really don't want to spend another evening trying to work out what is wrong with this 21-year-old truck. So let's do it. Let's see if we can get this thing to start up again. Everything seems to be working correctly. The fun and games begin again. It's always fun and games with Nitro. Well, that's promising. Well, it's a good start. So far, so good. No issues. I've been running this thing around for the last 5 minutes. I think this is a lot better compared to yesterday. At least it hasn't cut out yet. So with the body on, how cool does this thing look? I have missed the Rush Evo. Like I said earlier, I was 14 the last time I had one of these. So this does bring back a lot of memories. This thing is running good now. Yes! Yeah, I'm really glad I managed to get this thing working properly. Right, I think we're going to leave it there. So there we go. It was nice to revisit a Nitro legend in 2024. I'm very tempted to now go and find a Firestorm 10T. We're going to leave it there today. I really hope you enjoyed seeing the Nitro Rush Evo in action. It was nice to be reunited with an old friend after all these years. Cheers for watching. See you on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed today's video and you want to see more Nitro content here on my channel, click one of these videos now.